Real quick, before we jump into this episode, today is the last chance to join us for the Summer Shred Challenge, which is going to be starting on Monday, May 5th. It's going to be an exciting time to get guaranteed results, lose some body fat, and just build some incredible momentum leading up to summer. We finally nailed all the criteria that we're going to have within this challenge alongside the thousands of dollars in prizes fully picked out. So I promise you will not want to be on the sidelines for this. All you have to do is message us with the keyword Summer Challenge to Instagram at ColossusFit, ColossusFit. It's going to be an amazing time to jump on board to get guaranteed results and feel your absolute best in whatever you want to wear this coming summer, and join us for some amazing results. Can't wait to hear from you. Now into the episode.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and Most of All Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house.
Welcome to Motivation Monday, where we get you fired up, answer your questions, talk about where we're at in our journey, as well as share some of our favorite quotes. Let's jump into it and waste no time and start your day out amazingly with our primary question. And that weekly question is, how do you know what's the right fitness and health advice with all the information going around? And I love this question because when I started, I too was overwhelmed. There is just so much information out there. Perhaps you heard a podcast ad that me and Kyle run, and we talk about, should you be eating no carbs, no fat, high fat, more protein? Like, it's really easy to get in the weeds about what's right, what's wrong, or eat more vegetables, or stop eating vegetables, are bad for you. You could really find anything that will pull you in one direction or the other on the internet. And there's just way too much advice out there, a lot of it unwarranted and a lot of it untrue, but some of it's sexy. If I say, I invented this pill, it's how I look amazing, I actually only go to the gym once a week, I eat whatever I want, but I just take this pill twice a week, and I eat orange juice only on Sundays, you'd be like, I like that. That's not too hard. Whereas if I say, hey, I go to the gym consistently 5 days a week, I watch what I eat, I track my food, I'm consistent, I get good sleeps, that's not sexy. We don't want that because we want the easiest path of least resistance. But unfortunately, that's not how great things are achieved. They're achieved through hard work, through those basics. And with this question, when I started out and I started looking up things, I found the best thing you could do is just a confirmation of multiples. So if 4 out of 5 people who are trusted that you respect are saying something, there's a great chance it's true. And most often you'll see people that are actually very respected won't be making outrageous claims, people that don't have things to sell you. And if you analyze that and you hear time and time over again, hey, you should be eating more protein, eat a gram per body weight of protein, it really solidifies how important that is, and you can put more stock into it. Whereas when you hear these one-off crazy claims, the orange juice one example, this is something I make up, don't go doing this, but if I'm telling everyone orange juice only on Sunday, that's my secret, then you ask other people, have you heard about the orange juice? And they look at you like you're crazy. There's a good chance that's nonsense, right? And even for me, that could work for me because I could be doing everything else correct around it. I could be cheating and taking steroids or something like that and still doing this weird thing and believing that it actually is the result of my success, but that just is not the way it works. So when I started doing this, I would look up things, I would learn, and I would look for those consistencies in those multiples of different people. And I would look for really credible, reliable sources. And chances are, if you've been in fitness and health for a while, if you listen to us, you'll notice other top tier creators who are parroting the right information. Well, I guess not parroting, but they're actually saying the right information without a goal of selling you something. You'll be able to see what is important and what is true. And generally, there's that adage too, if it's too good to be true, it usually is. And unfortunately, it's very much the same with fitness. And I assure you, when you go down to the roots, there's ways to do things a lot easier. For instance, for my clients, I can make them a routine where they will see a lot more results, but it's not going to be magical. They're not going to not have to work hard. I can help you realize that you could eat your favorite foods, have no food restrictions, and still see results. But of course, there's still things that come with that. You need to know your nutrition, you need to portion, you need to balance, you need to really plan out. And there's quite a lot of different mechanisms that do go into it. But like I said, generally as well, if someone's giving you advice and they're trying to sell you something, that's usually a red flag right then and there, especially in terms of supplementations, pills, these magical drinks you take that fix all your bloating and gut issues. So I like this question a lot because I think even if we say something and you're unsure, do some research, listen to other people, look for studies as well. Always going back to studies is a great way to do this because thankfully science is really catching up with fitness. However, you will notice sometimes there are there are things that waver. So I use the example all the time. I've always been a believer in high volume training. I believe the more volume you do, the more muscle you can put on, the more your composition will change, the stronger you will get. As long as your body can take it, there is a position of diminishing returns. Hence, that's why I only train about 75, 80 minutes hard. Whereas science before would say, hey, just do the minimum. You don't want to do too much volume. It's going to kill your gains. But now science has evolved, and that is the way science works. It's always evolving to show that more volume actually will lead to more muscle, and we're seeing more there. We're seeing science reflect that more protein is better and things that people have believed for a while. So do keep in mind things change, and I'm always willing to change my thoughts as well, just because I believe something worked forever. If something can challenge or disprove that, I do entertain that. I'll put stock in it and experiment with things too. If things truly make you feel amazing and that's what you like to do, and it's not killing you, I mean, it's worthwhile experimenting and trying different things that may even be a little asymmetrical from what everyone else does. And if I tell everyone lat pull downs are the best thing for wide lats ever, and you can't feel it, you feel no engagement, you've seen no improvement, and you do some unique thing, like power to you. We are all different. Just because something works for me doesn't mean it'll work for you. So that was my long-winded answer, but hopefully that was helpful, and I'm curious what Kyle has.
Yeah, I'd say it's always important to, look for the results of, the people who are kind of praising all these things out there. Like I see so many different coaches out there, and just like, I guess you could say, especially influencers, like, I would never classify myself as an influencer, more so just a coach, someone looking to help you. But I think it's like most people out there that are creating content, they don't actually really have a whole lot of results aside from themselves, right? They pump a little bit of, extra support, maybe from some steroids, vitamin S, whatever. They look really good. They've been training a long time. They give all this advice. They show you their morning routine and their night routine and what they eat and stuff. But there's really not a whole lot of results, right? Whereas if you see that fitness coach out there that has had multiple thousands of transformations, I like to brag about our stuff, 4,500 transformations. There's probably some success within that, and there 100% is some success with what's being taught and shown and everything like that, because real life people are getting results from that. So I think you really have to be careful with that, because there will be those influencers that will show you everything and make it look so amazing, and you think you need to copy that, when in reality that's just their life. They're not actually helping direct people one-on-one, and that's something to always keep in mind. The other thing I will say is just like, try to categorize people. And what I mean by this is like, if you go out and you're just always looking for different things, like, someone out there is praising kiwi, that's the next superfood, you have to have this many a day. You start to follow them, you start to take their advice. Then you see us and like Layne Norton saying, hey, flexible dieting, follow your macros, don't worry about this. And you start to do that, that's awesome. And then you go and find something that's like sexier or like sounds more, insane or whatever, and better, bigger promises. And you start to do that. Like, you're just going to be all over the place. You're going to be starting and stopping, and you're just never going to know what to actually do. So I like to find people, and even when it comes to finance, that are in the same ballpark, right? Because it makes more sense if you're like, hey, I'm a long-term investor. I'm going to listen to these people who have these different thoughts, and they may have some different thoughts within it, but it's going to, for the most part, be similar stuff, and I'm going to trust that. There's 4 of them that I agree with. I'm going to take their content. But then if you go out there and you see buy, a million different buildings here, and then you see invest in this crazy different stock, and you're just all over the place, there's just a million thoughts going in through your head, and you never end up doing anything with it. So I like to just like stay put with that simple, like, hey, I like flexible dieting. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to count my macros. I'm going to train hard, and I'm going to listen to this. And there's like 5 people in your ear telling you that when you scroll through your feed, when you listen to podcasts, like, there's some podcasts out there that promote very similar type stuff. You keep listening to it, it's going to be drilled in your head. And then the last thing I'll say with this is try to find the underlying themes of what these people are saying. If you do want to follow, let's say, a promoter of like keto, like a lot of what these people do, you have to remember, it's trying to just stand out, right? So if there's someone who says intermittent fasting is the only way to do it, there's a big theme there. If I say flexible dieting is the way to do it, and they say intermittent fasting, we're basically talking about just caloric restriction, right? It's basically hitting your calories within the day when you hear my message and when you hear their message, and there's always an underlying theme. There might be another coach out there promoting their, body blast workouts, and they kind of add in some gimmicks and they add it exciting or whatever, and we talk about strength training and doing some of the similar movements. A lot of it is just going to go back to moving your body, getting some resistance training, and there's the underlying theme. So when you see behind the scenes of what some of these people are talking about in terms of like their approach, oftentimes it's just like marketed to be this like crazy, insane thing, but it just goes down to them doing the basics and, staying consistent with that. So I know that's a lot to digest, but the industry's crazy. It's pretty saturated, and just find a few people to follow, stay consistent with it. And I promise you keep showing up and you'll get some great results.
That is so well said. And as my brother, Coach Jason, always says, common sense isn't so common. And it's natural, once again, to look to more sensational, just like leaders or people to follow in fitness and health, because it's entertaining. And like I said, it can be attractive, that thought of getting more for less, but it's just not realistic. So if you really fight to avoid the noise and you stay on your path, you're going to blow everyone else out of the water by just doing what's consistent, going to those basics, learning to do them well. And like I said, finding ways to do them even better. But that was so incredibly well said. And now we're going to go ahead and jump into our quotes. We love doing this because quotes fire us up. They get us thinking, and we're really excited to share ours today. And I'm actually going to share mine from Quentin D'souza. We met him at our gym. He's a real estate investor. He's a beast. We had a lot of fun speaking at a real estate conference that he runs, which was absolutely amazing. So that's Durham REI. Shout out them. They're absolutely fantastic. And he's done big things. He's super into self-growth. He's really into reading, and he's been listening to podcasts, which is amazing. So he's actually written several books, and I was reading his book, and I just loved this quote from his book. So he said, "Success is not a straight line. It's a squiggly path that will take you back and forth in different directions. What's important is that in general, you will keep moving forward and you're getting to where you want to go." And I love this because in general, it's just so natural to expect progress to be linear, even as I just said. And even in my own mind, when I say keep doing what's right, keep being consistent in that line, you'll think, for those on video right now, you can see it's going to be nice and straight. Or other people think they're going to start, they're going to struggle, but they're going to figure it out, and they're going to get that hockey stick growth where it shoots right up. But very oftentimes it's one step backwards, two steps forwards, one step backwards, two steps forwards. Life happens, work gets busy, your gym gets shut down, you have to deal with loss, or you accidentally really mess up over a few weeks of vacation. In fitness and health, I think most importantly, it's really important you embrace that it is a squiggly line. Like, so much can happen and it's fluid. It's always happening, and it's not an arc, it's a circle. This is something I'm actually, I spoke on, I'm going to speak on Thursday. We're doing 30 lessons for us turning 30. And it's not something you do just for a temporary time. It's something that continues. It's cyclical, and you have to battle through those ups and downs. And there's times where it's easy, there's times where it's hard. But when you embrace that and you understand upset will happen, you'll make mistakes, but you keep having a mindset of improvement, you keep looking forward, you keep embracing the journey that is in front of you, that's how you become unstoppable. So reframe it from just expecting consistent, progressive progression, I guess, and instead challenge yourself to understand that it will be that squiggly line. It's going to go all over the place, but just keep that adage, keep trekking through, and keep going in the right direction.
Yeah, I feel like this ties in super well with my quote here. I was listening to a video, and I think it was actually Alex Hormozy this morning who had said, the person who loves walking walks further than the person who loves the destination. So I really like that quote, and what I gathered from it, and everyone will gather different things from different quotes at different parts of their life. But for me, it's just more so really finding ways to enjoy the journey and not just like only being focused on that one destination. And similar to this quote that Josh shared from Quentin, like, I think it's so powerful because when you see those squiggles, when you see the ups and the downs and stuff, and I just see so many people like want to give up, they become demotivated. They don't enjoy the process, and they eventually do end up giving up, right? Because when you try to get to that destination, wherever it is that you're striving for, you have to just be like, hey, I'm here for the journey. Like, I'm enjoying it. And I know it's easier said than done, and you can take this a million different ways, but when I'm relating this to the fitness journey, it's just really, to me, finding ways to enjoy it, finding ways to enjoy great workouts with buddies, get active, go on some consistent, awesome hikes, like set different goals that I'm looking forward to. Like, yes, I do want to get to a certain body fat percentage. Yes, I do want to have a certain amount of muscle mass and physique appearance and strength. Like, those are always things I'm thinking of. Powerlifting, it's always nice to hit some big numbers and test that. But at the same time, if I'm not able to enjoy the process, enjoy that walk, as this quote says, I'm never going to get there. I'm just going to stop and turn around halfway when, it feels like it's taking forever. So the person who loves walking walks further than the person who loves the destination. Mic drop.
Yeah, that is absolutely fantastic. And I think that's a great way to reframe it, and just the concept of the process. And even like Kyle said, going to my quote, it is always a process. There's always challenge, and there's never a point where you've made it. You'd like say, oh, once I made this weight, I'm perfect. I can stop doing everything that works. Or once I achieve that 225 bench, like the goalpost will move. And that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean you need to be miserable that it's always progression. But I do find also aiming to progress is how you stop yourself from regressing. And naturally, we're fighting against the biological clock of aging and just life in general and injury and whatnot. So it's a great reminder to keep continuing to desire to be your best and to improve and to grow. And that takes us into what has us excited or intrigued, or what's going on. So what do you have on your mind, Kyle?
So Josh reminded me today, he's like, we're about a month out from our DEXA scan. So I've kept this at the top of my mind as I was sharing there. I do have a lot of goals and things that are always on the top of my mind. So it was a good reminder because, I've tried to think about this, and it's just good motivation, right? And similar to what I was saying before, it's like, it's about having those different steps within your journey. It's like, hey, I'm going to get ready for this event. I've got this trip. I've got this test. I've got whatever it is. So I'm super excited about that. Now, the other thing, so last week we were talking about how to have an unstoppable mind. And I just kept thinking, like, especially, for those who consistently have negative language. And what I mean by this, I'll give you an example. Let's just say I have a bad night of sleep, baby's up, whatever, we're, just up quite a bit. And I just, happen to go on a walk. I see some neighbors and they say, hey, how's everything? And I'm just like, man, so bad, horrible sleep. I meet up with Josh. I say the same thing. We go into the gym. A lot of people interact with us, and I just keep repeating the same story over and over again. How's that going to make me feel? I'm going to feel horrible. There's no way to bounce out of that. And it's something I see a lot of people do, right? You ask them how they're doing. It's the same thing, the same story. And so for me, I'm a really big fan of just like try not to focus on that stuff. And I know it sounds easier said than done, but for the most part, you won't hear from me if it was like, a long night, or if, maybe I didn't sleep well, or like whatever the case is, or maybe I'm feeling a bit under the weather. I just try not to focus on that. And I know there will be some people thinking like, and saying, oh, it's good to share your emotions and all this other stuff. But I just see so many people get defeated by it, and they just start telling themselves all these things of like, well, it's a bad sleep. Well, I'm going to skip my walk, and then I'm going to miss my workout. And the one thing I'll add on to this is I think it's totally fair to just like, if Josh and I are talking and it's like, yo, what's up? And I'm like, it's like, it was tough, like haven't slept much or whatever the case is, like to have that conversation to someone like you want to interact with about it. But I think like most people consistently day to day, like you think of how many interactions you have, you go through a drive-through, let's say you go to work, and you're just constantly using these like negative things and talking about how bad this is and the world's this is happening to the world, and sleep this, and then whatever, you get my point. So just really focus on positive mindset, sharing that, and it rubs off on other people as well. And something I notice as well when I interact with others. So I wanted to get that off my chest because it's something been on my mind, and I feel like I didn't express it enough in that mindset episode.
Yeah, so well said, and glad Kyle shared that. And I guess what's on my mind is just, it's really great seeing the podcast continue to grow, getting some new listeners in here. So shout out to you if you're new, shout out to you if you've been here forever. I think it really does mean the world. And we haven't asked in a while, but it does help bump us up. So if you haven't taken the time to leave a review for our podcast on Spotify or Apple, that really would mean the world. If you're listening to this on YouTube, if you could just hit subscribe and thumbs up the video, those little metrics of support really do mean a lot. And if me and Kyle have helped you in any way, if you could take 2 seconds to do that, it really indeed would mean a lot. So I just wanted to ask for that small favor. If you could do that, you'd be my favorite person ever, and I'll definitely owe you one. But we're going to go ahead and jump into our client shout out. We like to do this part of Motivation Monday because I find one of the best ways to learn to be great and see change is understand how someone else did it. Someone who is struggling, who made their way through, who saw change. And who do we have today?
So today we have Kyle, which is amazing. He's one of our clients working with Coach Jason. I love the name. I might be a bit biased, but he had lost over 50 pounds so far. And I've got some notes here in front of me. His goal was to hit 215, which he accomplished. He started over 270 pounds. And he had a couple different goals along the way, right? So I have written down here, he wanted to be sub 240 for a helicopter ride that he booked for a Hawaii vacation. So obviously that's super motivating. He also had strength training goals, and he wanted to just join the 1000 club. So for those of you who don't know what that is, it's all of your compound lifts equaling 1,000 pounds. So for him, He was able to add 30 pounds to his bench press, 45 pounds to his squat, and 20 pounds to his deadlift in just 12 short weeks. I've actually been hearing about this a lot of specific clients that I've been working with, and some of you in the DMs who want to get this goal done, which is, it's an amazing milestone, right? You have to be, into the 300 plus range for some of your lifts. So I think that's awesome for Kyle to accomplish that. And one of the main things I wanted to highlight is that there were ups and downs, similar to Quentin's quote, similar to what Josh said. There were times where we had to take a step back. We had to reevaluate. We had to make adjustments. Sometimes the scale would go up. Sometimes you wouldn't be feeling his absolute best. And we like to share this stuff because, once again, some people think that they start this journey and it's like all sunshine and rainbows. So even if there was times he would enjoy himself on the weekends a bit more, he was honest with his coach so we could adjust that accordingly. Even if there was trips coming up, obviously mentioned the Hawaii trip, he'd let his coach know in advance so that way we can adjust for that and just take all that into consideration. So amazing job. It is honestly amazing at what you can accomplish in such a short amount of time. And once again, if you are looking to feel your absolute best, to get results for summer, to be able to, wear whatever it is that you want to wear, a dress, a bikini, a shirtless at the beach, whatever you're wearing, I want you to feel your absolute best, and you totally can if you message us saying summer challenge. I promise you'll not regret it. Amazing stuff, Kyle, and I can't wait to help some of you awesome people in this challenge.
Shout out Kyle, and yeah, shout out just for taking change, because it's so easy to be addicted to like seeing physical change and feeling better, but feeling strong is one of the best feelings. Like if you're listening to this and you don't consider yourself a strong person, you are missing out, because it is just a great feeling knowing you can move yourself any which way. You can push yourself up, you can pull yourself up, you can jump yourself up. It's very, very a comforting feeling. And when you feel strong and you feel like you can do anything, it's just nice not being handicapped by that. You have to lug one body around day after day. And if you're not getting stronger, you're missing out. And when you get stronger, you burn more calories, so you can eat more food. You start lifting heavier, so you put on more muscle, so you see more composition change. And it's this nice circle that just keeps on growing and encouraging. And you're missing out if you're not doing that. And if you're doing a poor program, you're just missing out in general. And if you want to see a lot of change in a short period of time, reaching out for this challenge is absolutely perfect. We're doing 2 different versions of this challenge. We're doing a beast mode as well as a challenge mode. I'm going to be doing beast mode because I really want to see some amazing change. And I've been lifting now like a ridiculous, well over 10 years. At this point, I got to really narrow in when I actually exactly started, but it's been well over 10 years, and I expect to see a lot of progress in this month alone. And no matter where you are, if you're new, experienced, either challenge mode or beast mode will be perfect for you. You'll get one-on-one coaching from me and Kyle, a routine, and you're going to get the guarantee that you're going to be building your best summer body ever and moving towards your goals as away from it. So don't miss out on this. Definitely message us about the summer challenge to our Instagram so we can get you on board into seeing some amazing results. But now we're going to go back to the mailbag and get our second question, and that is, what should I eat before and after a workout? So I get asked this quite often, and I just want to start by saying this is very, very subjective. Everyone is entirely different in this question. Some people feel better with a lot of food in their system. Some people legitimately enjoy training fasted. I have hesitancies with training fasted because you don't have salt in your body, you don't have carbs, you don't have glycogen, sugars. Like, you're not going to have as much source that you should. And as you start to burn energy, that is where it can have an effect. That's where you can feel lightheaded. You could lose a little bit of performance. And that's why I'm not crazy about fasted training myself. Saying so, some people do it. By the time they train, by the time they had their last meal, they'll drink their water. No issues whatsoever. It helps them maintain not eating till later in the day, helps them stay lean and effective. So like, am I going to tell that person you're doing something suboptimal? Stop doing that. You're the worst. No, if it works for you, it works for you. And everyone is so different. There are general best practices. So if you're eating before a gym session, I would recommend at least an hour before, if not a little bit longer than that. So you do have some time to digest, but getting some glycogen, some quick carbs. So really emphasizing carbs, and they don't need to be sugary fast carbs. You should have a mix of some fast carbs and some complex carbs. For reference, I usually eat about 90 minutes before, and I'll have Greek yogurt with granola where I'm getting complex carbs, and then I'll have more simple carbs. Obviously, it's an oversimplification, but with my fruits. And that quick sugar, I'm really easily able to break that down, utilize that glycogen in my workout to actually have more oomph for a really heavy session. Because when you do train hard, you really need food. If you're not eating a lot, you can get through it. But when you're training really heavy, heavy, you're really pushing yourself, your heart rate's getting up there, you're training near failure, RR1, you will need some food. And then I also like to make sure I have a good amount of protein because that keeps me sated, so satisfied and full during my workout. And then also fats because that's the slowest burning nutrient, it takes the longest to dissolve. So that can also prevent you from being hungry mid-workout, where that might take away from some of the quality of the workout. But in general, I just recommend getting in some protein, getting in some carbs, getting some healthy fats, and really not overcomplicating it, and play with what feels best for you. If you do eat too much and your body's really working hard to digest, you will get a lot more lethargy and you'll feel a lot more bogged down. Some people just like a small thing. I always recommend a really simple, dead easy thing you could do is like a banana and a protein shake. If you do that, like, you're pretty much covering your bases. Obviously, you're not getting many healthy fats, but very low cal, very quick, very accessible. Smoothies could be a great option as well. You could throw some peanut butter in there. Case in point, I can't tell you exactly what to eat because everyone's different. After workout is another interesting one. This is where you want to replenish your body. You want to build muscle. You want to give it that energy it needs to help start recovering some of that tissue you broke down. This is where you want to optimize for protein. The protein window has been pretty much a myth. There is indeed a window, but it's been shown that it is quite a long window. So as long as you're getting protein within 8 hours or a reasonable time frame, you will be totally fine. But here is where you want to emphasize your protein because your body's in recovery. You want to get some good healthy foods in. You may want to eat some extra carbs and some healthy fats. But in general, just having balance throughout the day. I don't overemphasize any one nutrient at any time. Just in the morning, I do like some carbs intra workout, and nothing ridiculous. Once again, granola and berries. And then post workout, I do like to optimize for protein, healthy veggies, and just naturally things that will fill me up, replenish me, and get me throughout the rest of the day. And then I'm pretty lax into the rest of the day because I don't need as much food around training. So some people really do like to pack their carbs in and around before and after training. Something I personally enjoy, but something you will need to play with, and everyone's different, and this is something we work with our clients on. But those are my tips. What do you got, Kyle?
Yeah, even post-workout, I find I'm just ravenous. Like, I know, and I've been getting some feedback from clients as well. They're kind of feeling similar as well. And, we push ourselves in the gym, right? We spend a lot of time in there. Well, not a lot, like over 70 minutes or around that range, but, we push ourselves. So I find that I like to have most of my calories like in and around that. And, even just if I were to do the math, I don't know the exact percentage, but like post-workout, it's could be sometimes, depending on what we have, like close to half of my calories for the day, and that's the way that I prefer it. But even still, like one of my biggest tips, so I'm very similar, right? Josh and I have the same routine. Like today, I had the Greek yogurt beforehand, and then afterwards we had just like a healthy chicken bowl with like tons of veggies and some rice. So like very simple, like, before and after meal. But I really encourage you to, when you find what works, like try to stick with it. I think too many people are just like, they don't have a routine within it. And like, I know that Greek yogurt with like everything Josh mentioned is what leaves me feeling incredible. So 9 times out of 10, probably 9.9 times out of 10, I'm going to stick with that. If there's a specific time where I can't make into the gym, like I might have to have something different, but I know that, I'll feel way better with that before my workout than like a Chipotle bowl. As much as I love Chipotle, it's just not going to be sitting with me as well. I like that as a post-workout meal, but I think like having that as well as like, so that's like my main option. But then there are times where I utilize like that, what Josh mentioned, like a banana and then a protein source. Like if I was just like, to give you a long story short, I think it was just about 2 weeks ago, I lost track of time. I ran out of the house. I grabbed a banana and I grabbed a protein shake that I had. But if I didn't have the protein shake, I would have just had the protein bar that I had in the cupboard. So to me, that's like a quick and easy. Like I'm kind of covering some of the bases here. It's going to give me some energy. It's going to help me hit my protein a little bit more. It's not like a go-to daily, but like that would be like I'm running out of the house. I've got a long run here and I just got to get something in. I used to do that a lot when I had like early 5-6 a.m. runs. But anyways, the biggest thing is just figure out what works, stick with it, try a few different things, and don't overcomplicate it, like Josh said.
Yeah, and just know everyone's so different. So it's funny how Kyle feels ravenous because I very much feel the same way. But even there's a lot of new studies reflecting how working out and exercise has a light appetite suppressant effect. So some people have a very hard time eating after training. They just don't feel hungry. They don't want to go to food. And I think sometimes people get confused being around me and Kyle because we'll go crush 1,000 calories after a training session. And it's what we've habitually come to do. Like I said, everyone's different. If you need like an hour and a half, 2 hours to get hungry, power to you. And it's good to play around with your food time to see what feels best. But there really is no best way. And that's why food timing is so low on the scale of priorities for me. I really like to emphasize total caloric intake. So that's my number one priority. Then we get into protein. Then we get into like other macros, food quality, all that great stuff. Then we get to food timing. And once again, that's very, very low. And there can be tactical uses of this, but in general, it's nothing too crazy. So that was a great question. I do hope that was helpful, and I hope that expands some horizons. If you ever have sub questions to this question and you're like, wow, it was a great answer, but you didn't address this, or this, hit us up with that question, because if you're thinking it, other people probably are too, and we would love to answer it and do some follow-ups on future episodes. But now we're going to go to our third question, which is, why do I feel so tired all the time? My sleep is okay, but I'm not all that consistent, and I consider myself to be generally healthy.
So straight up, the answer here is just that you're not as consistent. But honestly, so I will say that, like, the truth is, when it comes down to our bodies, like, it wants to be consistent. Like it subconsciously we create the routines, we create habits. And, I will say, like, for me, I find that it really messes with me if like I have some inconsistencies. So once again, there are a few times here and there where it just makes the most sense. We're going out later, we're watching a UFC event, like, whatever the case is, I will never mess with my wake up time. It's always around the same time. And so I think that's where some people also struggle. Like, if let's say on the weekend you sleep until 10 and then during the week you're always having to be up at a specific time, that's just going to start messing with your body. And like, one of the greatest tips I heard, it was probably from Josh, but from others as well, is just like, keep the same wake up time no matter what. I might be tired on that Sunday if I'm out later on Saturday, but it helps keep my body in rhythm. But even with bedtime, right? I know it sounds kind of funny and crazy, and some people are like, this is kid stuff, and I think it's very easy to overlook, but so many people are all over the place, right? Like, you're going to bed one time at 9 and then you're going at 11:30, and then it's just like always up and down. Now, on that note, because I know Josh has a lot of good tips, it's been on the top of my head lately, especially because a few clients, and specifically my client Chris, asked me about this the other day, and I sent him a really good episode we made. But I want to put together a cheat sheet with like 15 to 20 different questions of like you can check off. So basically it's going to be like, is your room temperature, this temperature? Are you keeping your room fully blacked out, like no lights coming in? Are you eating before, are you making sure not to eat before bed? Like, lights before bed. What's your pillow like? Like, there are so many things to consider, more than I can just like cover right now. And I'm going to put together a cheat sheet to basically help you optimize your sleep and just give you some things to consider. Because I would say most people are only checking off a few of the boxes, right? Between the similar wake up times, like, there's just a lot of things being missed out. So if you want that, just message basically sleep hacks to Instagram at ColossusFit, ColossusFit, just with about 15 to 20 things to consider to make sure that you're having the best sleep possible. But yeah, it's been on my mind lately, so I'm glad this was asked for sure. And I'm sure Josh has other good tips as well.
Yeah, I think Kyle nailed it. There's a big ripple effect. It's not to say you'll never have one bad sleep, but when you do, generally you'll try to make up for it perhaps over caffeinating, and then the next day the sleep's not as good. Then you oversleep because you're so tired, and then the next night it's harder to get to bed. I find like that lack of a consistent schedule is an easy way to really feel tired. I'd also say most people in general aren't getting enough sleep. Like, it's easy to assume, oh, I'm doing fine, I get 7 hours or something, but also it's not about the duration, it's about the quality. So if you're having caffeine really late at night, that will affect you. If you're drinking before you're sleeping, that will affect you. If you're sleeping in a room that's too bright and too hot, that will affect you as well. So you really want to optimize for a deep sleep. And a general good thing is, when you wake up, are you feeling refreshed? And if you are feeling refreshed when you wake up, then perhaps it's not so much a sleep issue. I find energy, there's so much that goes into it, because obviously as I have a coffee, this will pick me up. But generally, as you get picked up, you'll be brought back down. So it is natural to expect some of these waves. But if you're over caffeinating, or just in general, you hit a lull in the day, maybe for whatever reason around that certain time, and you're just feeling wiped and you're not doing anything about it, that can hurt you. So for me, usually when I start to feel pretty tired around like 3, kind of feel like the day's hit me, I've had a whole work day before me, I like to go on a nice big walk, and I find that re-energizes me. I also find I have more energy when I have a lot to look forward to in that day, when I got a lot going on, when I'm more active, when I'm working out more. So very often it could actually be that you're not doing enough. And instead, by challenging yourself to fill that schedule a bit, like if you've ever been someone who had to run around from place to place, it's hard to feel tired because you're just on it, you're boogieing, you're getting things done. And I'm not saying you should never rest, but I do think it's good to have things to look forward to have some excitement, maybe plan some good gym sessions with friends, go to the gym at the right time. But like Kyle said, most of the time for 9 out of 10 people, it is going to come back to sleep and not optimizing that sleep quality or really making it a point to make it a priority, because sleep does need to be a priority. You need to get to bed on time, got to cut that caffeine off about 8 hours before with its half-life. You need to be on top of these things so you can actually maximize that quality, make an investment in some good pillows, some good sheets, make it a priority. And you will notice over time, it'll start to improve. I've had periods of time where I've had horrible sleeps, and then I start to get a couple good sleeps, and I'm like, I feel amazing. I feel like a superhero. It's a very black and white difference. So the more you can optimize and emphasize the quality of it, the more of a result you'll see.
Yeah, and even just like making that harder decision. So there's a hockey game that, we knew would run a little bit too late. So there's some times where I'm tempted, but I know that ultimately, if I make that decision, I am going to be accepting that the next day will probably be a little bit, tougher in terms of just having less sleep and less optimal sleep and whatnot. So I try to make that better decision, 90+% of the time. Once again, there will be a time where we say, hey, we're going out, it's someone's birthday, it's whatever. But I do find that having that discipline is so important, because I know so many people who will let their Netflix, what's it called, marathons just keep running forever, or get addicted to watching YouTube, or whatever the case is. And it kind of compounds, right? But I also really encourage you, similar to what I was saying before about the mindset, is hey, I'm fresh, right? Even like I said, there's a lot of times where it, hey, may have hit me if it's, been a bit of a choppier sleep, depending on how many times I'm being woken up, whatever the case is. But I'm like, hey, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to attack the day. Like Josh said in that mindset episode, he said he writes down, today's going to be a good day. And I think it's also very important to kind of keep that mindset in place, because I feel like you can definitely, trick yourself into just thinking, hey, we're good to go. Once again, it's more of a short-term thing, but it is very important to consider. And I think that's so underrated what Josh said about having things to look forward to, because that's what it's all about. If I'm pumped for my workout, I'm excited for my work day. And it's not even about that. It's you can find ways to plan ahead. Some people will be like, hey, I don't enjoy work. How am I supposed to be excited? Well, what do you have planned with your kids? Are you going to go on a cool adventure with your dog? Are you seeing your parents later? You can definitely integrate that as well. So with that, I want to say thank you so much for spending time with us today. A few special reminders, because we covered a couple links and keywords and all that other stuff. Message us Summer Challenge if you want to join. This is the last chance to get discounted coaching to join us for this challenge. Message me Sleep Hacks on Instagram if you just want that cheat sheet. I'm going to make sure that it's perfect and put together for you. And please share this episode with a friend on your Instagram story, on your Snapchat, whatever it is. This is how we grow, and it would mean the world to us. So thank you so much. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.